This episode, we will be adding 3 new weapons to our game. We will be adding a shotgun, a knife, and an assault rifle. So, let's get started. So in order for us to add new weapons, we're going to go back to one of our previous sprites. So go to our player sprite and go to costumes. And we can see here we're only currently having a pistol. And we want to add more weapons as we mentioned in the beginning of this video. So let's go ahead and do that. So you'd go to choose a costume and upload a costume. And we're going to go to our top-down survivor. That's where we're going to get the different costumes which display our different weapons. So here we can see there's a knife, a rifle, and a shotgun. We are already using the handgun, so we're not going to go there. But for now, we just want to go ahead and go to the knife. Go to melee attack. So we select the third one and the first one. And now that we have them selected, we're going to move the third one to the top, and we're going to select 2 more costumes. We're now going to find a rifle, so go to idle and select the first one, and then go to shotgun and select the first one in idle too. Now that we have more weapons, we're going to need a way for our player to cycle through the different weapons. So let's go to our code, and we're going to create a brand new variable, and we're going to call this current weapon. Create this variable current weapon. And with this weapon, we're going to use it to switch between our different weapons. So let's go to events and select when flag clicked, and then forever, and choose 4 if statements. And now that we have our 4 if statements, we're going to go to sensing and choose the key block, and we're going to select 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then what we're going to do is go to our looks and switch the costume that the current number switches to. So for 1, we're going to switch to our knife. We're going to switch to knife 3, and then for 2 we're going to switch to our pistol. For 3 we're going to switch to our rifle, and 4 we're going to switch to our shotgun. And let's go ahead and hide this current weapon variable, and we can see as we move around we can switch between the different weapons. Okay, so now that we got that figured out, what we now want to do is create different fire rates for each gun. So let's go to our bullet, and we're going to go to an if statement in control, and we're going to look at the if mouse down, and we're going to set up our different fire rates in the script over here. And now we're going to say if, and then equals. If the current weapon equals to 1, which is our pistol, then we shoot how we normally shoot. But now let's duplicate this and put it right under, and say if current weapon equals to 2, which is our assault rifle, we're going to then wait less time. We're going to wait instead 0.1 seconds. And then next what we're going to do is create the last one, which is our shotgun. And we're going to say if current weapon equals to 3. Then what we're going to do is create a random spread for the shotgun. So we're going to shoot 3 different bullets when we're shooting our shotgun, and we're going to need to make sure we at least have 3 bullets. So we're going to look if ammo is greater than 2, because it is allowed to be 3, which will just take up all our ammo. So we're going to say if ammo is greater than 2, then we're going to create 3 clones of the bullet. But we want the bullet to have random spread, so we're going to go to motion. We're going to have it have a random turn, so we're going to choose turn clockwise. We're not going to have it turn clockwise in the script. We're going to have it turn clockwise when it starts as a clone, and we're going to do this by saying if the current weapon is equal to 3, then what we're going to do is turn it by a random number, of course. So we're going to choose -5 to 5. And then we're going to do that at the start of the script. Now the next thing we want to do is actually tell the variable that we have switched guns. So we're going to go to our player, and we're going to go to variables, and we're going to set the current weapon to 0 if we're using a knife, to 1 if we're using a handgun, to 2 if we're using a rifle, and to 3 if we're using a shotgun. Now let's go ahead and test what we've just done, what we've just created. Let's wait for some ammo to show, and we're going to choose the assault rifle and see that it shoots a lot faster than the pistol does. If we choose the pistol, it shoots slower. If you choose the AR, well, we only had 1 bullet there, but if we choose the AR, it shoots faster. And if we choose our shotgun, it shoots 3 bullets. For our shotgun, we can of course increase the spread so that it's more noticeable. So we just change it by 10. That should work better. And there we go. We've implemented different fire rates for each and every gun. But we do notice that we do have a knife and it's not actually doing anything. So let's create a brand new variable and call it knife. And it's going to be set to 1 if we're using the knife and 0 if we're not. So let's go to player and go to the events and create a brand new script for the knife weapon. So we're just going to say that when the flag is clicked, we're going to set the knife to 0. And then we're going to look in controls if, and we're going to do this forever. So get a forever loop and say if current weapon is equal to 0, which is our knife. Then what we're going to say is we're going to go to variables and set knife to 1 for 1 second. And then we're going to go back and set knife to 0. And then we want to also indicate this to our player. So what we're going to do is go to looks and switch costume to knife 0, which is when we see that the attack actually takes place. So we're going to take the switch costume to 0, and we're going to do it once we set knife to 1, and we're going to set it back to knife 3 once we set it to knife to 0. And then we're going to, when the flag is clicked, we're going to set knife to 3. Now next what we have to do is actually give our player a way to input this. So we're going to go to mouse down and then select if statement and see if mouse down, then we look if current weapon equals to 0. So let's go ahead and test what we have here. So let's go to weapon 1, and we see that our knife is now working. So now let's stop the game, and we're going to go to variables and set current weapon to 0 at the start of the game, so that if our player was using the shotgun at the last round, we don't have them starting with a knife but then shooting shotgun bullets. So what we're going to do is just not show if our knife is on or off as it's indicated by our costumes. So now what we want to do is we want our zombie to actually realize it's being attacked by a knife. How we're going to do that is we're going to go right here where we say if touching bullet, and now we're going to say, instead we go to control and say if our player is touching a certain color. We're going to use a color here for the knife. because we want to make sure the zombie is actually being attacked by the knife and not just any part of the body. So let's select this specific part, select the gray part, and then we're going to say if touching color, we make sure that we look if, we go to control and look if, and then we say if knife equals to 1, then we'll of course change kills by 1 and delete this clone. Now let's go ahead and test this knife movement, make sure it works properly. Let's wait. Now, oh wait, we don't have enough bullets. Let's see if this works out. There we go. We see that our knife is working. But we see that our zombies are a little weak. And what we're going to do is give our zombie more health so that they can take more bullets or take more attacks with the knife. So let's go ahead and make a brand new variable, and here's what we're going to use for this sprite only. And why we're going to use for this sprite only is because each zombie is going to have their own individual health, and we don't want the health to affect any other clones. That is why we're going to go ahead and use for this sprite only, so that each zombie has their own individual health. So let's go ahead and name this zombies health, and then say okay. And I'm not going to display this. And then what we're going to do is, instead of changing kills by 1 every time it's hit by a bullet, what we're going to do instead is change zombies health by -1 so that it loses health. So let's remove the delete clone and change kills by 1, and instead say change zombies health by -1. And then we do the same here at the knife part, but instead what we're going to do is change zombies health by -1.5 so that it will take only 2 knife hits to finish off a zombie. Next, what we're going to do is take these 3 and just remove them, and we're going to remain with 1, delete this clone. And then we're going to go to the controls and then the if statement, and we're going to say that if our zombie's health is equal to 0, then we're going to want to delete this clone. So let's go ahead and put this right under the other if statements. Automatically zombies health equals to 0. So what we have to go ahead and do is set the zombies health to 3 once you start the game. That's very important. So now let's go ahead and test that again. Let me take out my pistol. Any zombies? Ooh, there we go, a zombie. But let me try 1. Oh, missed that. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, let me get some ammo. Okay, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3. And let's try with our knife. 1, 1. Okay, interesting. The knife does instant damage, and our other weapons take a random amount from sometimes 2 and sometimes 1. Now let's go back to our code and solve the problem. First, what we need to solve is our knife problem. And we see the reason that actually happened was because we never gave it a time to wait for the next knife to come out. So what we need to go is go to control and wait 1 second before we actually end up changing the health again. That will be our fix for our knife problem. Next is our bullet problem, which sometimes ended up ending our zombie in 2 hits. What we now want to do is go back to our zombies, go to variables, and change kills by 1 every time we kill a zombie. And the next thing we want to do is, because we have a wait 1 second, is we would want to single this script out alone so that it doesn't interrupt with the rest of the gameplay. So right there, that should fix our problems which you had. And then what we want to do is now have a wait 0.1 seconds between each shot that the zombie receives. And we want to then single that out again on its own, have a forever, and then have that when I start its clone. So it waits 0.1 seconds before it then registers if it has been hit by a bullet again. Now let's go ahead and test it, and that should have all our different weapons working in perfect order. We don't have bullets. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Another one. 1, 2, 3. Knife. 1, 2. There we go. Everything is working in perfect order. So the final thing we want to do this video is end the game once our player's health has run out. So how we're going to do that is we're going to go to our health bar, sprite, and then what we're going to do is look if. So we're going to choose an if-else statement, which is basically going to say if this condition is met, it does it, but if it's not, then we do the else. So we're going to put the switch costume if our health equals to 10, then for now what we're going to do is go to controls and stop everything. That will end the game once you lose any more health than 10. But now what we want to do is create end screen so that our player knows that they lost and they are not just like, oh, the game is stopping, why did that happen? So we're going to create a brand new sprite, and we're going to go to paint and we're going to paint it. So what we're going to start with is a rectangle, and we're just going to zoom in and fill this up, but we're going to have the fill be, let's choose gray. So just reduce the saturation and decrease the brightness. The color doesn't matter here when we're dealing with darker colors. And we're just going to select the whole screen. I'm just gonna move this to the middle. So set the X to 0 and the Y to 0. So now it's in the middle. And then what we're going to want to say is create a text, and we're going to use the marker text, and we're going to then make sure it's red. So increase saturation, brightness, make it a bit dark so that it looks a bit better. And we're going to say game over. And then just increase the size of that a little bit, and then we're not going to center it, but then just try to get it in the middle. So we're just going to say game over, and then we're going to say in a green sprite color, in a green color, we're going to say click on the flag to try again, and then just increase the size of this so it's more readable, and center this spot. So this is going to be our end screen. And then the last thing we would want to do is then say the amount of kills the player has gotten during that round. We're going to now display the amount of kills the player got. So just make sure again it's centered, and then just right there we just bring it a bit down, and that's all we're going to do for our end screen. And then another thing we need to do is this say variables. We're going to say end of game kills, and we're just going to make this a large readout at the end of the game. Now let's just rename this to game over screen, and we're then going to create a brand new control. We're going to create a brand new message, and we find messages in event, and we're going to say when I receive game over. And then with game over, we're going to go to variables, and we're going to hide two variables. We're going to hide the ammo, and we're going to hide the kills, and then we're going to show the end of game kills, and then we're going to set end of game kills to kills. And then once we're done with all of that, then what we're going to do is end the game. So stop all. Now that we're done with that, we're going to go to our player, and we're going to say that when the flag is clicked, what we want to do is we want to show certain variables. We want to show the ammo variable, we want to show the kills variable, and we want to hide the end of game kills. Now the final thing we'll be doing for our game over sprite is we're going to go to looks, show the sprite when game is over, and we're going to hide it when the flag is clicked. And then what we want to then do is say in our health bar, if health is equal to 10, instead of stopping the whole game, what we're just going to do is broadcast game over. Now this is what we're going to have once we're done with all that code. Let's have our zombie damage just a little bit. Oh, that's a bit too much. Get some. Boom, boom. Oop, how about I use my enough ammo for the shotgun? Pow, pow, pow. Oh no. Ah no, so many zombies. Let me get some health. Oh, well, there we go. We lost. So we can see the skull, the health bar, and the ammo are still showing. So we're just gonna go ahead and hide them. We're going to go to health bar and hide it right here. We're going to go to our ammo display. When flag clicked, we're going to show it, but then hide it when they receive the message of game over. We're going to go to our health bar, and we're going to go to looks and show it when the flag is clicked. The next thing we want to do is our skull. We're going to show it when the flag is clicked, but hide it when game over is broadcast. So that's it for this video. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. We'll be animating our zombie, animating our player a lot more than it currently is animated, and we're going to be adding more effects to when our player shoots and also when our zombie is killed. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.